metals. The napkins are made out of it, and it's just sort of a weird thing to see for me when it's on the Enterprise, since, you know, their uniforms are so sleek, and usually people's leisure wear is also understated.
Well, it's the future. They perfected microfibers.
I guess. Shiny microfiber.
And everything is sparkly.
Yeah, it's like a 1950s futuristic go-to, I feel.
Hey, listen, at least we're not living in the future of the original series where women only wore just enough to cover boobs and vag. So, I mean, I'm just saying that at least women get to wear more.
You know, Troy likes to keep up that neckline, so...
That is true.
That is true.
Yeah, but the original series was all about go-go boots and miniskirts and plunging necklines.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. I mean, there were a lot of go-go boots. The go-go boot budget on the original series was through the roof.
Yeah, it's so impractical. You can't go running on an alien planet in go-go boots.
Duh. Like, I know, it's crazy.
Block heels and not stiletto heels, so that is a difference. That does help, but not.
True. Very true.
I'll take your word for it.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's all coming together.
And then I just laughed too hard at my Reading Rainbow reference. I'm so sorry. Where were we?
We were talking about this fencing scene.
Oh, yes, fencing. I actually know someone who's a fencing teacher, and I'm sure she said what it's called when, you know, the point or whatever you said it was. Yeah, and I don't remember, and I feel terrible, but...
Oh, that's okay. Look, she got a point. She stuck him with the foil. Like, that's it. It's all good. It's all good. I knew it was
a foil. That's all I mean.
I'm sure somebody who knows will tell us, you know, they'll tell us, hey, it's called blah, blah, blah.
I should hope we have someone so classy listening to our little show here. All right, so we're back to the detention block. Geordi brings panel to put in for the Borg to eat off of. Worf goes in with him, holding a phaser on the Borg the whole time. We see the Borg slowly advance towards them while giving off his, you know, Borg monologue. And so Worf kind of freaks out, and they're fine. They stop, they're fine. They go out, and Geordi's like, there you go, enjoy your meal, kind of thing. And the Borg wonders why he wants to do this for them, because that's not how things usually work for them. They say, you're going to be assimilated, resistance is futile.
Yeah, it's really interesting to me because, you know, as you said, Mark, this was like the first time that we really see a Borg alone without the collective, and... So we don't know how they react when they're separated like this. And, you know, so seeing this Borg in a way like when Geordi questions him and says, why are you saying we when you're here alone? Like, you can almost like see the gears turning in his head like, wait a minute. Yeah, he's right. Why am I saying we? Like, but he doesn't know how to express that any other way than just, you know, the company line of like, we are the Borg, you will be assimilated. Like, yeah, he doesn't know how to say anything else. That's their mission statement. We are the Borg, you will be assimilated.
And their motto is resistance is futile.
There you go. It's on all the literature. You know, it's their when they have their like team building retreats, that's all they talk about.
I feel a t-shirt coming, you guys.
Yes.
All right. We also find out here the Borg is third of 5 because he was the third on his ship of 5 of the scouting ship. So, you know, they still have a designation so they know who's who or whatever whenever they're doing that thing. But overall, he doesn't have a name like Geordi yet. Spoilers if you haven't watched this. Why are you listening?
What? He's gonna have a name?
Yeah, and it's funny because after Geordi just tells him, yeah, you know, that's just the thing to do, that he brought him food or whatever, the Borg repeats the whole thing about assimilation and resistance is futile and all that stuff. Is it because he didn't know what to say? Or is it because he's still kind of Borgy? I don't know.
I mean, it's like you've got to imagine that. I mean, he appears quite young physically. Mm-hmm. Here's this young person who's been assimilated, we don't know how far back, and he's always got the voice of the collective in his head, you know, saying, we are the Borg, this is our mission, blah, 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 blah. And for the first time, he does not have that in his head. He doesn't know what to do but just repeat the words that he's said a million times over. Like, I almost liken it to like if a child, a young child got lost and maybe somebody was trying to ask them like, well, where do you live and who are you? And they just might repeat like, my name is Lisa. Like that's all they can say because they don't know, they're scared or whatever. And I kind of feel like that's what's happening here with the Borg.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not like when I awkwardly say "you too" to the waitress when she tells me to enjoy my meal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
not like that. Exactly. It's more like a child who can't really process what's happening and doesn't really know what to say.
Yeah, it's almost like he's been brainwashed and that's all he knows.
Well, I mean, really,
or it's the ultimate case of Stockholm syndrome where he's been taken from wherever he should have been and now he's just part of the Borg.
They're not even like brainwashed. Their brains are like perpetually drowning in Borg.
Yeah.
Since they can always hear everyone else and this whole through line of we're the Borg, you're going to be assimilated, resistance is futile, and we don't use conjunctions, but I just did. Like, I have enough thoughts going on in my head, I would not need everybody else, even if they were the same thing like that.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't want anyone else's thoughts in my head. I mean, I have enough problems with my own thoughts. Like, I don't need anyone else's problems.
Right?
Yeah, I don't need anybody else's running through my head, or I don't wish my thoughts upon anybody else either, because I'd probably drive them nuts.
Sick bay. We have Geordi and Beverly. They're talking about Borg, and Geordi's saying he's rationed him some of the electricity so that the Borg cooperates with him, because he's going to need his cooperation in order to figure out how to sabotage the whole collective. Of course, Beverly's still not on board with this, but she is a doctor. She's there to help. She's going to take care of him if Geordi tests or whatever. You know, she'll just deal with it. They have him transported into sick bay, and they're all talking. He asks what their designations are. I thought it was kind of strange because Beverly's like, oh, our names? I mean, you could just tell him your doctor, you know, or whatever. But she didn't. So she told him their names, and they go through this whole thing about they have names, and then he wants a name. Through miscommunication, his name comes up as Hugh. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that now Borg has his name. So what did you all think about that? And what do you think about the name Hugh? Should they have tried harder?
I mean, it's better than us calling them Borg.
Yeah.
Third of Five. I've always liked the Third of Five. Like, I liked the name Seven of Nine. I thought that was kind of unique. But
could have called him Toph.
Yeah, that's true. They could have called him. I mean, yeah, like in Star Wars, where like Finn was like Fin, whatever,
yeah.
and Poe's like, I'm gonna call you Finn. I mean, yeah, like that's. I mean, it's fine. I thought it was cute. It's very Star Trek-y, you know. It was a very Trek thing, you know. And of course, like Seven of Nine, which we meet her, you know, way later in Voyager, but like they ended up just calling her Seven, which I thought was hilarious because
that was the name of the kid that came up on Married with Children when they needed to add a new child because everybody else was too old. Anybody remember that? Okay.
No, I vaguely remember that.
Sorry, over my head. Sorry.
Wrong podcast.
But like, yeah, like they could have called him Toph, I guess. But I mean, this is a very Star Trek-y thing to do. It's like they say you, and he's like Hugh. No, that's not what I meant. Hey, that fits. It works, and it's like. It's adorable. It's very Trek, and I'm fine with it. I kind of like that they name him Hugh, and I know we'll get to it in a minute, but like I do like how when they tell Picard or when they start calling him Hugh in front of Picard, and he's like, you named it?
Yeah.
Like, don't name it. We're gonna have to bring it back.
I feel like it wouldn't have been as adorable if it wasn't Geordi, because there's just. I talk about this a lot. The two things that I talk about, well, there's several things I talk about on this show. But one, I love Whoopi Goldberg as Guinan. Two, I think LeVar Burton is just so adorable. Even the times when he's kind of sort of creepy as character, he's still just wonderful, and I love his little giggle. And then, Captain Picard is straight up sexy. So...
I mean, he is. Yeah. And I mean, I had a huge crush on Riker when I was a teenager and I was watching this. I mean, I kind of still have a crush on Riker.
Captain Morgan stance, isn't it?
It's the way he sits down.
Yeah.
It's the beard. Yeah. It's a lot of things.
He's so much better with the beard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nobody mounts a chair like Riker. And the beard is such a power play for him. It's, I always thought it was weird when he didn't have the beard.
Yeah.
It's so funny, like, after you've watched, like, the whole series, many times, as many of us have, but then when you go back and you watch season 1, he looks like he's 12. And you're like, oh, he looks so weird without that beard. And then he gets the beard in season 2, and then he just has it for the rest of the show, and it's like, that's the Riker that we know and love. Yeah.
Yeah. I realized watching these that there are several episodes I'd never seen before because I had really just watched it on syndication, and then when I was able to go back and watch shows, I'd watch ones that I knew that I liked. So it's interesting. In between, I've seen like all of these that we're covering already. I've seen all those. Since, those are some of the top shows. But, it was interesting to go back and watch some that I'd never seen before, and it was fun to watch some that I liked that it's not.
Yeah, I think I've seen them all. Whenever Netflix first came out, when you're still getting DVDs in the mail, I definitely subscribed to the entire series, and I was getting 3 discs at a time. I was burning through them, like, at least 1 disc a week, if not more.
That's how I watched Doctor Who.
That's a lot to watch.
It was just all of Dave. It was like David Tennant. I mean, all of New Who. So like, it was just Tennant and Tennant is all it was.
Okay, we're not going back to the older ones.
No. I got Brit Luck.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, in my case, we actually, now brace yourselves, kids, because I'm about to date myself of how old I am. I watched, not quite, but I wouldn't have put it past my family. We watched this live on television with commercials, and we taped it on VHS.
Oh.
We had every episode, and I mean every episode of Star Trek The Next Generation on VHS tapes. We had the whole thing.
What's crazy, I can't believe we haven't talked about this yet. What's crazy about this show is that when I was watching it in syndication, it was still on.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was in syndication, and they were still giving new episodes. Like, they were still putting out new episodes. It was that popular, which, if you...
I'd watch like 2 episodes in a row after the evening news or whatever, then do my homework and go to bed, and it would still had new ones on.
Yeah, in the 90s, my sister was stationed over in Germany, and they didn't get a whole lot of TV over there, so they'd always ask us to send us tapes, and so I would record whatever was on, and one of the things that they always asked for was more Star Trek. Because they pass the tapes around the base, and that was like always their quest: more Star Trek, more Star Trek.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's one of those things, man. Because I mean, it was so long in between new Trek, so we hadn't had anything new since the animated series, which was not that great. So yeah, it was. It was right after the original series ended. They continued it as an animated series, and but once that ended, we didn't have new Trek. And then when this started in '87, it had been probably over 10 years, I think, since we had anything new Star Trek. So on TV. So it's super exciting to get this, and so it scratched that itch for that weekly Star Trek fix.
So now he's Hugh. They go around and they say, Mickey Mouse, Mouseketeer style. I'm Beverly. I'm Geordi. I am Hugh.
Yeah.
So
I never thought of it that way, but now every time I see that episode, I will do that now.
Think of the Mouseketeers. So Geordi continues, scanning Hugh and all this. So from here on out, we'll call him Hugh. And he asks to see his eyepiece. Hugh takes it off and gives it to him, and he's like, "You'll get your own when you're assimilated." And they're like, "No, thanks."
Hard pass, but
yeah. Sorry, not sorry. And and then they have to explain to him that